Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Come on in, come on in. Let's go. Today, we're going to be talking about relationships. We're going to be talking about partnerships. We're going to be talking about just making sure that you have a keen discernment for the decisions that you're making as far as who you're connecting to. And I have none other than my lovely guest, Victoria, tonight. She's going to be discussing a great deal of information that we can use as far as having that discernment and making good decisions. Victoria is a self-empowerment coach, transformational speaker, and personal development blogger. She started sharing her voice on her blog, emerance.com, 4 years ago. She is now coaching individuals by helping them to break free and regain their power through self-love. I love that. So already that's speaking volumes that there is power in self-love. I'm going to bring her on right now. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. As a matter of fact, let me prep myself right now.
Hi.
Hello, Queen. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. What about you?
I'm great. Can't complain. Even better now that I see your lovely face.
Thank you.
So
I'm
I
so
gave
happy to be here.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to have you. So I gave everyone a little background as to who you are. That's your formal introduction, but I want you to put your heart into it and tell us about yourself.
All right. Well, as you said, my name is Victoria. I am a self-empowerment coach, transformational speaker, and personal development blogger on emerance.com. I've helped many people with their personal development journey and self-love journey by being their guide. And other than helping other people, I also have my own experience. I have 4 years of personal development and self-love journey. And it happened so quickly. Like I remember it like it was yesterday how I started all of this. I remember in February 2018, I was alone in an apartment. I was not just physically alone, I was also emotionally and mentally alone. Although I had all these people around me, like friends and a boyfriend, I always like felt disconnected. And it started months before that, where people would ask me, my friends would ask me, let's go out. And I would always go out with them, although I was not feeling myself. And, I'm always someone that's there for people. So when people would call me for advice, I would always answer the phone and, give them advice. But when it came to me with my issues, like nobody was able to help me. So, months went by, and fast forward to that time, that I was alone in the apartment. Someone sent me an Instagram, a video, YouTube video on relationship goals. And since I had nothing to do, I started watching that video. And as I was watching the video, I felt connected with what the pastor was saying. So when you're connected to a message and you're just like, you forget about like what you're doing, where you are. Like I was so into the message that I forgot about all my emotions. So from there, I, was listening until he said the verse Matthew 22, verse 37 to 39. It is a long verse, but it's basically love God, love yourself, and love others.
Okay.
So from that moment, I realized that, my issue was not that, people are taking advantage of me or I always put them first. Well, that was my issue, but the issue was not for other people. Like it was on me. I was not prioritizing myself. I was not prioritizing God. I was actually putting everyone else above everything. So until I understood that, I had to take some time for me. As I felt disconnected, I decided to know, like I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to do any social activities. I'm going to take care of me. So I took like a month and a half for myself. And that's when I realized and I found my truth, which is what I call today the love for self. It's basically a 4 steps method that helped me with my self-love personal
Wow.
development journey. So it's actually just like self-evaluation. You evaluate your situation, and then self-awareness. I always say, in the self-awareness, I realized that I was godly made. I was
Mhm.
perfect just the way I was.
Amen.
And then I had the self-discovery where I discovered that, I am a shy woman. How can I use that to my advantage? And then in self-improvement, this is where I call, every day becomes a self-love battle where,
Mhm.
you have to constantly put yourself first, because when you are used to the crowd, being around people, it's not easy to just change, right? With the
Mhm.
new habit and stuff. So every day for 4 years, it just was what I was doing, self-love first. Self first
Yes.
isn't selfish. So that's where I got everything. And that's why I do what I do today.
That's powerful. That's powerful. One of the things that you said was that self-improvement. And I really, take pride on that. Other people say, self-development, like you said, self-improvement, I think is kind of interchangeable. And when you really start to honor the self-improvement and the self-development that you're going through, aka transformation, you can actually give yourself more credit and more value, and to say, you know what, I don't deserve that. And that's one of the things that I also, take as a principle, is to elevate your standards. And so
Mm-hmm.
once you elevate the standards in your life, it becomes a reflection of how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
So that's very powerful. That is a key thing. And that's an amazing thing that you're teaching people, because, a lot of people don't know how to tap into that. So that's a powerful weapon that you're teaching. So I have a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
So since we're talking about specifically applying self-love to, making sure that you, I guess, filter the people that are in your life, make sure that you're participating and engaging in healthy and conducive relationships, we're going to talk about it in 2 aspects. We're going to talk about it like emotionally and also in business too,
Mm-hmm.
because, we're purposepreneurs. So we also want to talk about that business aspect. So, but we're going to talk about just the emotional part of it. So we live in a day right now, the social distancing, maybe we're not like physically around the company that we have. How do you, or what advice would you give as far as like maintaining your peace in a very like virtual and social media time and generation?
Well, Crystal, right now we are in a time where everything is just uncertain, everything is just negative. Like if you turn on the news, you see like just negative stuff. So
Yes.
it's not because you don't have a TV that you're going to remain positive around you. It's also the people that you follow online, because a lot of people do share those things, do share the news, do share
Mm-hmm.
things that are happening. So it's just for your mental health, for your emotional health. You just have to filter those people. Like, you love them, maybe it's your family, maybe it's a friend, a best friend that is involved in those. But if your spirit is not too ready for that, your spirit is not going to take it well, then you have to put in boundaries, right?
For
You're going
sure.
to put boundaries into like what you consume, because we always say, diet is about eating the salad and stuff like that, healthy stuff. Then an emotional diet for you would be to filter positive things. Maybe,
Mm-hmm.
if you're unstable for a moment, then you're going to start consuming positive accounts, right? Online. Like, try to be positive and find positivity anything anywhere that you go, because online it's a very, like, Instagram, social media, it's a very powerful tool that
Mm-hmm.
you can use in your own advantage, right? It can help you or it can also destroy you, so you can filter those
For
things.
sure.
Yeah.
And I also want to look at it like from an introspective point of view, right? Because although maybe sometimes we may not always be following, negative accounts per se, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, we can be following those positive accounts, and then those negative feelings come from that, like maybe like the spirit of comparison, or maybe
Mm.
like you might get a little bit like jealous, or maybe you might feel like whatever, those negative things. So how do you identify those emotions and, you know, gauge it with the level of self-love. And what strategies do you suggest for somebody who may be really like struggling with that? Like, it's not like they're following negative people on social media. They're actually following people that are inspiring, but maybe the self-love is causing them to have this comparison or this depression and anxiety. Because I know, and let me just speak for myself, because there was a season in time where my husband had to tell me, Crystal, get your grip, girl, get your grip, because I was working on my business and things like that. And I follow numerous entrepreneurial things, you know, quotes and people who's doing, you know, magnificent things right now in the entrepreneurial space. And I just started to feel like, oh my God, like if I was on point, I would have been so much further. And it's not like I was comparing myself to them, but I felt like I could have, shoulda, woulda. And it was putting me in like an anxious space. So how, like, for somebody who could be going through that, like, what do you tell them? Because I kind of slip into that, but then I find my way back, and I have to remind myself and speak to God. But like, what is that first line of defense that you would say to, okay, sis, elevate your self-love right now?
Well, a form of self-love is to not compare yourself. But I've been there, done that. It's natural. We compare ourselves with anything, actually, you know, not just business. Like you said, you're a business entrepreneur person. You follow a lot of people, like-minded individuals. So you have other people that are 10 in what you want to do, but you're not there yet. A form of self-love, first of all, make sure that you know where you are. You know that you're working. What you're doing is exactly what you should be doing. Your time is going to come. A form of self-love is to give yourself space, flexibility, compassion, that, you know, I'm okay, I'm doing great. You know, today, like, let's say, you know, you have a goal for your Instagram and you want to post every day, and the time, like today, you're like, I don't feel like posting. You know, it's okay. Give yourself, you know, forgive yourself for not following your plan. But learn from it. Learn today's the day. I didn't do what I was supposed to do, but next time, how can I fix that? Your mentality, your mindset shouldn't be around comparing, because it's not a competition. Especially if you follow like-minded individuals, it should be to help you, motivate you. Like, I know that when I started following like-minded people, individuals like me, I saw that, you know, there's a lot of great women out there doing so many things. And one thing that I remember, it's like, wow, that could have been me. Like, if I just have to do this, I have to work hard and stuff like that. But then I had to calm down, like, yo, Victoria, you need to calm down. Like, wherever you are right now, it's exactly where you should be, because you are realizing the potential that you can, you know, get. You have potential, and you realize that you have that potential. So what you should be doing is actually inspire. Feel inspired by these people. Look at them and be like, wow, they're amazing. One day I'm going to be like that. One day I'm going to reach that goal. It's going to come to me too, you know? Or you can also learn from them. How are they doing? What are their strategy? You know, like, okay, what is on their Instagram? What can I put on my Instagram? How can I, you know, fix that thing? But it shouldn't be something you're comparing yourself with. It should be something that inspires you to follow those accounts. Either it's fitness, anything like that. You just have to get inspired. You consume positive stuff. It should be received in a positive way. It shouldn't be received in a negative way. Because if you receive it in a negative way, that means you're challenging yourself too much and you're being too hard on yourself for no reason. So that's basically my my advice for someone that's comparing themselves today, because I was there too.
Awesome. And as you were speaking, I remember I had a mind-blowing revelation too that also helped me. And it's that somebody's watching you and getting inspired, right? While you may be in the corner and being discouraged because, oh my God, I'm not where I want to be. Somebody's looking at you and like, oh my God, you know, Victoria's doing so good, man. I look up to her. Crystal's doing so good. I look up to her. Even for anybody that's watching right now on this live, you know, there's somebody that's watching your story or watching your feed and is very inspired, and you think that you're not accomplishing anything. But listen, we're all on a journey. So, I love how our coach Patrice says it. She said it herself. She said she feels like she's a 7 at best. So if she can help those 4, 5s, and 6s receive a insight, or receive a revelation, or receive a breakthrough, then she feel like she's done something. So, it's not to say like still in like a spirit of comparison, but I think that we should give ourselves credit, like you were saying, that there's somebody that's watching you, that's inspired by you, and they may even want to be around you. So you got to be careful, because somebody may be wanting to, go through hoops and hurdles to be around you because they see this light, and then in person you don't carry that, because you're feeding your energy into something else. Like you're draining yourself because you want to be this thing, but instead of living in the moment and actually like pouring into others and continue to be that inspiration, now you look like somebody who's just complaining and not happy and not grateful.
And you know what? I have something to add to that. Someone just said, yes, I look up to Victoria. Thank you, first of all. And I just wanted to say, when I was comparing myself to other people, there was a time where someone actually came to my DM telling me how my content was helping them. Amen. And I was like, let's stop for a minute and, just be happy for this moment. Because again, there's not going to be a lot of people that are going to come to you, especially like depending on the content you share. A lot of people are not open to say, hey, you know what, I like self-love, I like self-love, I don't really love myself, and this and that. A lot of people are not comfortable with that yet. So just make sure that in your head that I am blessing at least one person. And that's the thing. When I started blogging, when I started writing my blog, at the end of my blog, I would write, I hope that I helped at least one person. That was my motivation all the way.
Yes. And there's a quote that says, if I'm wrong, I don't know, but I think it says, each one reach one. So all it takes is for us to stand up and, love ourselves enough to do something good and shine, like allow our light to shine. And somebody's gonna say, you know what? I want to shine. I want to tap into that self-love, and I want to let my light shine. Right.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's good. So transitioning into like, just like those interrelational relationships, when it comes to somebody who you may have like filtered out of your life, like maybe like a family member or a friend, but then they come back around and they're like, hey, Victoria, I apologize. I want to make amends with you. Like, how do you what advice would you give somebody as far as like discerning to make sure that, they don't put themselves back in that position of the reason why they allowed themselves to love from a distance, or, allowed it to be like bridge under the water, like to make sure that they're not being manipulated, and to make sure that it's coming from a genuine spirit and not a spirit of manipulation.
As I always say, self first isn't selfish. So you have to make sure that in any situation you put yourself in, that your peace is there, so setting boundaries is very important to me. I always say, I forgive people without them apologizing. So if anyone that hurt me without knowing, or if anyone hurt me on purpose comes back in my life, I would always welcome them. But there's always going to be boundaries, right?
Yes.
Let's say it's someone that whenever they had issues, they called me for their issues, because I'm someone that I consume a lot of energy from other people. Like, just like when I'm talking to you, for example, and you start talking to me about how, sad your life is and stuff, I'll start feeling that sadness. It's weird, but that's who I am.
Yeah.
So just knowing that, first of all, you need to know yourself, right? So just knowing that about me, I'm going to set boundaries. Like, okay, if you're coming back to my life, then the phone calls had to be, 0, or at least like 30 minutes or 15 minutes. It has to be quick things, right? I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to say, like, you need to have these conversations, even if it's family members. Just say, like, I forgive you. I love you, However, there is this, and that that's bothering me, and I would like less of it. If you want to be part of my life, you need to reduce it. At least find
Wow.
someone else that would help you with that. But right now, I do not have the energy for it. Like, I remember there was a time where I was not feeling at my best. My therapist told me to not help others, because I always have that motivation to help others. And I had a
Mhm.
coworker, she came to me, she was like, oh, my boyfriend is this, that. And I'm telling, like, this is just an example of, if someone comes back with that type of energy around, she was not having a good life. And all I did was gave her the tools that would help her, the tools
Mhm.
that helped me. I told her, listen, right now, I'm not mentally, emotionally ready for this, but
Mhm.
here's a number of a therapist that you can call. Here's
Wow.
here's my blog post that you can go and read. Here's like what the things that I already wrote. I actually
Yeah.
literally sent her my links in from my website, and I was so
Wow.
grateful. And then, after that, she was so grateful from it. I think months or a month later, we were catching up, and she was like, Victoria, I broke up with my boyfriend, and now, I'm seeing this therapist, and everything is going well. I was
Wow.
blown away. So
Exactly.
you can see how I didn't like let my emotion, like hurt
Yes.
situation, consume me, because I know myself. I listened
Mm.
to my therapist. I said, listen, I'm doing a month of no blogging, or how long of no blogging. So I don't need another person coming to me to disturb what I'm trying to, rebuild, because I needed to get more energy for myself.
Mm.
So I understood what I needed. And I said, listen, this is my boundary. Here's the tools. Go for it. And a month later, she comes back with like results. So it means that boundaries exist, and the person will survive without you. If
Wow.
you
You saying
just put
something.
your foot down. Yeah.
You're saying something. Wow. That's very powerful. A lot of people do struggle with saying
Hmm.
no. And no doesn't have to be like this vicious no,
Yeah.
crucifix, back up, no, my peace, and all of this stuff. It could just be in a loving way, like, hey, like, I have this resource for you. You don't
Hmm.
have to be the end all be all for everybody, like, have this like strong, superwoman or super human cape on, that you
Hmm.
want to just help everybody. You're not Jesus. You can't do
Yeah.
that. You're gonna
You
wear
can
yourself
save
out. You know
everybody.
what I'm saying? You're not gonna be able to show up for yourself at the end of the day. Just like you mentioned, you wanted to recharge and show up for your own ministry, your own blogs and things like that. So,
Yeah.
I don't know who's listening today, but I feel this sense like somebody is struggling with saying no. And it doesn't have to be no where you feel like guilty. It could just be a loving no. You still provide a resource. You give a yes, but without a no. Like, here, sis,
Exactly.
I'm helping you, but I'm not gonna give my whole, think of like a battery. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I'm not gonna give you all 100% of my charge. I'm gonna give you 5%. We're gonna talk, give me a little some, and then here's what I got. Go to www.thiscanhelpyou.com, okay? Because that's
Yes.
not we're not doing that today. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I really admire that strategy. That is something that I'm gonna even learn how to implement for myself, because I do find myself, and just to help, and just to mention to you, that word is called, you're very empath. You
Hmm.
feel other people's emotion, and it's not
Yes.
rare.
Empath.
A lot of
Yes.
people that are like, coaches and counselors and consultants, you have to have that aspect about you so that you can be able to give practical advice from the heart, and not out
Hmm.
of this place like, oh my God, you should know better. So we have to be sensitive as coaches, but at the same time, like you said, you don't want to be that person that everybody pulls on, and then you
Hmm.
have nothing left for yourself. You have nothing left for your own things that you have to tend to, and that's part of mental health. So that's powerful. That was a great, 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 great advice, right?
Yeah.
So I also want to touch on, transitioning from that. How can you discern a season of who God wants you to connect with, and why God may want you to connect with a specific person?
Oh man. I always I have to answer that question, I don't have the exact answer, because God does things on his own way. All I do is obey, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I would say there is always a reason why someone will come into your life. there's always a reason why someone will be out of your life.
Mm.
So in this situation, you just have to be like accepting, saying, you know what, I was supposed to be in that person's life to make them realize this, this, and that. Now it's done. Our relationship can end. Even if it was a relationship where you guys felt like you were best friends, you're calling her sister, you know, even if it's a year,
Mm.
2, 3 years, you need to understand that there was a reason for those 2, 3 years,
Mm.
right? If you were there, you made an impact. Fine. If you were there and you didn't make an impact, that's on the person, right? It's not really
Mm.
on you. However, you also gain something from it. You
For
also
sure.
like this, like we're saying, like people that come in our life and drain our energy and then they leave and then they come back. You need to realize that, hey, these are the type of people that I'm attracting. Why am I attracting this type of people? What am I supposed to do? Maybe it's a lesson for yourself. Maybe it's a lesson for you that you need to start like putting boundaries. You need to start
Mm.
telling these people, hey, listen, you're coming to my life, no joke. You know, I'm here to, you know, let's do business, or let's talk seriously, or let's build something, right? But you will realize, like, when you, like, for example, personal development journey, when I guide my clients on their personal development journey or self-love journey, the clients that I have are people that I would never guess that I would have as a client, okay?
Mm.
But the way they talk to me about their issues, it's like, you were meant to be here at this time right now, because I don't know how long I'm going to do this coaching, but the reason why you're here, there's a reason. And the way you're talking to me, it's like, I feel in my core that you were
Mm.
supposed to be there. And in my way, I'm a coach. I understand that this is my role to
Mm.
help this person to break free so that they can live their life the way they want to live,
Yeah.
because I have the talent for that, right? Or
Mm.
the gift for that. That's the right word. So I know my purpose when I'm a coach. However, for to be a friend, you know, I have a friend that randomly just told me, oh, the post that you shared actually motivate me to go work out because you've been sharing these things. And I'm like, this is the purpose why we needed to connect, why you needed to come to my
Mm.
life. And
Wow.
even if it takes 2, 3 years, it's just like, my content, the things that I'm sharing motivates you in a way that I didn't know. But,
Mm.
you know, you telling me that there's a reason for that. So I wouldn't say why God is bringing all these people in your life. I have no idea. God does his things, like the life his way. Like, I have no
Yes.
words for it. However, make sure that you learn from it, because me, I learned a lot from a lot of people that came in my life. I learned that I had this gift of giving advice. I was an empath, and I realized it. Why? Because a lot of people that I was attracting always came to me. They were vulnerable to me.
Mm.
I don't know this new girl, like in our work, she's new. She's coming to me and talking to me about her boyfriend and how things, like, I don't know. Like, it's so funny and interesting, right?
Mm.
Like, I am working from home. She's at home, but she's here trusting me with all of her personal stuff. Like, I know
Wow.
that there's a lot of people that are open, but like, there's a reason why when I started my job in 2018, I started a new job. There was this lady that was 58 years old telling me about her issue with her kids, and
Wow.
she was like being vulnerable with me. I knew a lot of things that,
Mm.
if I'm guessing, if it was another person, she wouldn't open up to. So from there was like patterns and patterns and patterns, and I'm like, you know what, I am giving a lot of advice in a year. So I think I'm going to become a life coach, because
Mm.
that's something, and that's where self empowerment came from, right?
Yes.
Because of all these people coming to me, the people that I'm attracting. It's so weird. But again, God works his own way. I did not study life coach. I actually just went for marketing, and I ended up being here, you know, and it's just like, there is a path for you. Just make sure that you listen, make sure that you pay attention to the people you attract.
Mm.
And some people are there to teach you your ways, like people you're dating, people that, you know, me, I learned a lot from people that I dated. I learned that, you know, I need to stop being so, you know, just accepting anyone in my life. I need to filter and all that, and actually ask myself, what do I need? Who do I need when I'm going to be like 10 years from now? is this man going to help me 10 years from now?
Mm.
So I ask a lot of questions about visions. I ask about like your goals. What is it? Where you want to go? And it's just things that I learned, right, from people
Yeah.
coming to my life. And so, again, I don't know why God
Wow.
is putting people around you, but you need to listen. You need to
Wow.
listen.
Like that's some wisdom right there. I don't know if anybody else caught it, but I caught it. That, like, what I heard you say is basically search, be intentional about looking for the divine alignment.
Yeah.
So whether I'm in somebody's life for a reason or they're in my life for a reason, I gotta, yield to God to hear that. Because I may realize why I'm in that person's life for a season. That person may not be hit to it, right away, but the Holy Spirit is gonna show me, Crystal, no, I put you here in this person's life to help them get out of this rut. And then, like, I'm just going to close the door after that because I need that person to be going on to the next level. And I don't want you to be a crutch, but in the next season, but in this season, you're going to be a stepping stool, but in the next season, you might be a crutch. So I'm going to have to cut it off.
Yeah.
So that's deep. That was a lot of wisdom that you just dropped right there. And a lot of people don't even see it vice versa, even for themselves. Like, like, this person is in my life to help me to get to the next level, but then if they stay in my life, then they may be a crutch. But I just needed to learn what I needed to learn, get that message, and then keep it moving. But a lot of people want to stay in that relationship, and they don't realize that they're stunting their growth. Not to say that person is a bad person or they're better than that person, but it's gonna be it's gonna be unevening the yoke for what God is trying to do.
And exactly, to add to that, there's actually going to be people that are coming in your life. They see what you can do in their life, and they're not ready. They're just not ready. So they walk away, and you have to be able to say, you know what? You were not ready. I'm here to be surrounded by people that are ready to move forward, right? So you really need to know what you want in life, and you really need to know who you want around you.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah.
That is rich. That is rich because a lot of times we do take things for granted. There's times that people God put people in our lives and we take it for granted. It's not till afterwards, and God was like, well, I did give you the resource. I did give you an opportunity to up level, but you just couldn't see it, and you self-sabotage. So those are things that we have to be very mindful and be in tune with the Holy Spirit to let us know, like, hey, no, you need to connect with this person because either you need to pour into them or they need to pour into you. Otherwise, you're gonna miss that blessing, basically.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's so good. I love that. And another question that I had for you is, how do you ensure that a relationship is mutually beneficial? It's kind of similar to what we just spoke about, but a little different. Like, how do you know if a relationship is truly mutually beneficial?
So you need to know. One thing that I used to tell my friends is, I can be your friend, but to you, I'm just someone that you know, or a colleague, right? So you need to know exactly, okay, what can I do in this person's life and what can they do in my life? Like, I am someone empath, right? I'm someone that I'll be there to listen to your issues. I'll be there to give your advice, but I'm not necessarily looking for that back, right? Like when you say mutual, a lot of people are like, well, I'm doing this and that. I'm always there to listen and stuff like that. Maybe that's not the person for you to go to. That's not the person. The person is not an empath. The person is not is not well enough for you to go to and be vulnerable to, right? So your friend might be financially literate, like the person knows about stocks and stuff like that. Then use that friend for you to also up level your financial literacy. It doesn't have to be I'm doing this type of advice, they're coming to me about relationship advice, I want to go to them also because we are like that, right? But you have to know your friends. You have to know your friends. You have to know people around you. You have to know their role. You can even like write it down if you want. But you have to know that, okay, my friend is talking to me a lot about how they're good at this and that. So Like, let me ask them about this cooking thing. You know, they're good at cooking. Let me ask them
Mhm.
about this cooking thing, how I can do this, right? And
Mhm.
that's, for me, that's mutual. You need to know
Mhm.
exactly for yourself, like,
I
if,
understand.
yeah. So for me, it's like I don't have like a lot of people around me that I can be like super vulnerable, right? So I go to my therapist, right? I don't need to go to my friend to for them to become a therapist. No,
I get it.
they're not geared for that. Just ask your friend, you know, well, know your friend.
I
You
get it.
can't, yeah.
So basically, what you're saying in essence is that you have to make sure that even though like you may have a good friend, you guys are friends, you know where each other stand as far as what you can count on each other for. The love is there, you know,
Hmm.
you can rely on that person, but it's just for certain things. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. And as you were speaking, I was thinking about it. How do you know if you're, you know, how can you identify if you're being taken advantage of? Just like kind of how you said, okay, well, you know, I'm going to do this for you, but I don't expect anything back. How do you know when the person is actually abusing, you know, what you have to offer
Damn.
versus appreciating it?
A good example would be someone that is like, I have a lot of people around me that are givers, right? And I had a quote on my Instagram page. If you're a giver, you have to learn how to stop, because the takers do not know how to stop, right?
Mm.
So the person that's coming to your life asking for advice or asking for money, let's say money is the perfect example, because you know, you have to know that as soon as you give, you know, it's going to be hard for them, for the receiver to accept the no, right?
Mm.
So, you know, the person comes to you and like, you know, I'm lacking $100, or like, oh, it's fine, I got you, giving $100. And then, you know, because you give that $100, the person is expecting you to give more, right? Even
Mm.
though, you know, they're telling you, well, I don't have the $100 now, I just need another one so that I can make this work and stuff. And you keep
Wow.
giving. But at the same time, like, there's two things. You need to know when to stop. You need to know that, listen, I'm big on, like I said, we spoke before, you don't need to say no. You can, though, um, show them how they can make money, how they can, like, the possibilities, help them find an employment if they
Independent.
don't have, yeah, help them to become independent if you have that time. But also know that if you don't have enough, if you don't have it for yourself, don't do it, don't give.
Mm.
Just like I was talking about, you know, my emotional health, I was not emotionally available to help others. So I gave another resource for that, right?
Wow.
So you
Mm.
can also do the same thing. If whether it's about money, whether it's about anything the person keeps on coming back to you for,
Hmm.
find another way and tell them. You need to tell them, listen, I am broke this month. I have things to do. Believe me, Crystal, like, I've been there, you know. It's so funny because I actually did make a plan for myself to be debt free when it comes to student loans, right?
Hmm.
So I had to put myself first in
For
that
sure.
time. Like, this is my goal. I'm gonna reach it. And I've never given someone something with like the intention, like, oh, they have to give it back to me,
Yeah.
right? I always have this mindset of, I'm gonna give and I don't expect anything in return. However, when you give, for example, money, you have to make sure that you're not broke, so that you don't be like stressed and begging the person for the money back, right? You
Yeah.
need to know that you're, you know, I'm stable enough for me to give
Hmm.
this extra. And if they don't give me back, that's fine, because
Hmm.
I have what I need, and I'm not going to die tomorrow if they
Hmm.
don't give it back to me. So you need to know your limits. It's the same thing for emotional, mental states, and all that.
There's a limit.
Again, my energy, you find yourself always drained, you find yourself burning out, you find yourself not able to, like, let's say, babysit for your sister's like baby, they need you and you can't go and babysit, let's
Yeah,
say, you're drained, you
that's
know.
true.
That time you have to say no. You have to tell your sister, like, listen, today I can't babysit. Can you pay someone? Can we find a way? Like, I can pay half, you can pay half. Like, it's her child, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you need to understand it's not your responsibility. You were able to give, and when you're not able to give, then you have to tell the person, I'm unable to give. And here's another thing that we can do. We can figure this out
Wow.
together. Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And another thing, that really illuminated in my mind is that you have to be mindful of the pattern, right? It's kind of like what you said, like if the person keeps coming around every time you turn around, oh, I needed 100. And as a matter of fact, you know what? I need another 100 because I need it for this and this. Like, okay, if every time I'm talking to you and it's about the same thing, money, we're not talking about God, we're not talking
Oh
about
my
life,
God.
we're not talking
Yeah.
about how we can help each other elevate with as far as like, resources, books or whatever, things that are
Hmm.
like beyond just every time we talking, you pulling on me or you trying to get something out of me. I feel like that's a key indicator of somebody who is taking advantage of you. They're not
Hmm.
there for you. They're there for what you have.
Yeah.
So you have to be very mindful. And I don't know who that was for, but Victoria took it to money. So there's somebody out here that's not being wise with their money. Don't be afraid to, no, for sure. Like, no, this
You
is
know
what we have to
yourself.
do. This is
Yeah.
about helping people get out of those mindsets because they're
Hmm.
afraid, like they're timid. They don't have that self-love to say, but they don't realize that they don't have no self-love. They just don't want to,
Definitely.
say no. They're people pleasers. Like, no, listen, sis, you got your own responsibilities. By the time you turn around to give somebody money for whatever they
Hmm.
need it for, now you lighting candles because your lights off. Like
Hmm.
that don't that's not that doesn't that doesn't
That's
work out.
right.
You have to make sure that you're mindful because these same people will turn around and they owe you money. Like you said, you may not want the money back, but then they turn around and they have like all this stuff and they're like, and you're like, oh my God, like, wait a sec, I thought you couldn't even afford that. You told me that you
Yeah.
needed the money for cereal and some milk. You're not seeing with a Gucci belt. Like, wait a second, what happened? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to be very mindful that you're not, getting the short end of the stick in a sense, like you always getting pulled on. But when you turn around, nobody is, there for you to like,
Hmm.
give you some kind of support. You're always that person that's, the well that runs dry. You have to be careful about that. You have to be very, very, like how you said, setting boundaries because otherwise you won't get out of a hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to
You
stay
have
in
to
that.
be you have to be selfish sometimes. That's why I said I had a whole thing, a whole conversation about being selfish. Like, you need to be selfish sometimes. Selfish does not mean that you are the one taking advantage of other people for your own good. Selfish
Mm-hmm.
is like, listen, I need to at least, shut you off or block you for a while so that I can recharge, so I can get my money straight, so I can get all these things straight. Or you just let them know, like, hey, I'm not available.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't have to be rude, even though you know that the person is taking advantage of you. You just have to say, I'm not the one. I'm not going to be the one. This stops now. This stops today. You can go to your brother, sister, friends, whatever, but I'm not the one. Right now,
Exactly.
I'm not available for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not financially available. I'm not emotionally
Emotionally.
available. I don't have nothing left to give. As a matter of fact, I'm on recharge right now, sis. Do not
Hmm.
disturb.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. We got to set boundaries. We just, how they say, love them from a distance. And this conversation was just so enriching, enlightening. I learned a
Yes.
lot. I'm hoping that there was at least one person here that was able to get a breakthrough from not giving themselves that love that they need.
Hmm.
And you can do things, practical things. Even your environment, light a candle, make sure your space is clean. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you don't have all this chaos around you because you don't have, like, if you have too much chaos around you, you can't think straight.
No.
People can just run up in your life and talk fast, and then by the time you turn around, you were bamboozled. Like, oh my God,
Yes.
like, how did I end up giving them $1,000? You know what I'm saying? And now you have your semester coming up, and that's exactly the amount you need. You know
Oh
what I'm
my
saying?
God.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you got to be very mindful in life. And I'm glad that we're able to talk about that self-love because not a lot of people speak on it, but
Hmm.
it starts with you. Because
Yeah.
if you don't have self-love, you can't properly love others. You
Nope.
can't properly, walk in your purpose. You
Hmm.
can't properly just be your best self if you don't have that self-love.
Definitely.
That's amazing. All right. So now to get into the lighter end of things, I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. These are questions that I ask, my guests just to have a little fun, get to know them a little bit more. So when I ask you these questions, you can answer it in 4 words or less. All right.
Ooh, okay.
What is one thing that you have discovered personally about yourself that really helps with your physical or mental health?
Oh, reading books.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. What book are you reading anything right now?
Yes. I don't know if I say the word right, but Linchpin with from Seth Godin.
I haven't heard of that. You got to send me a screenshot of that book.
Okay.
Sounds interesting. That's interesting. What's one of the biggest lessons you've learned about wealth?
4 words or less. Okay.
Okay, well that would be a sentence, I guess. I don't know. That one that I gotta fix that. I gotta tweak that. Thank you. Thank you, Holy
Yeah. Well,
Just give me the lesson. Don't worry about that rule.
yeah, wealth starts with your mindset. Your
Yeah.
mindset. Wealth starts
Awesome.
with your mindset. Yeah.
Nice. When you're not working, what do you like to do that makes you genuinely happy?
I like to watch anime, the
Oh,
Japanese.
really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Wow. A lot of people like that. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know, but it's not my thing. But that's good. I'm glad that it. Some people don't even know what makes them happy, so that's a good
Yeah.
thing. What's one thing that you're excited about that's coming up for you this quarter?
Just expanding my coaching. That's something that I'm excited about.
That's
Just getting to know
awesome.
new people and stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. New people always, are refreshing, as long as they're good new people. That's
Yeah.
amazing. If you had to describe your business with a song, what song would it be?
Travis Green, Made a Way.
Oh, wow. That's
You
powerful.
made a way.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Like I'm starting to see like a common thread in all my guests there. A few my other guests, she was talking about Waymaker. That
Oh,
song is that what she would use to describe her business, and it really touched my heart. And when you said that touched my heart again, because without God there's nothing that we can do.
no.
We spent this whole almost an hour talking about relationships, and I just want to reverence God that one of the things that would really catapult you into self-love, at least, like in my opinion, which has helped me, is tapping into the love of God.
Definitely.
Because there's this peace and this like
Hmm.
joy that surpasses all understanding that
Yeah.
he gives you. I find myself sometimes just happy. And not just say there's no reason to be happy, but there's nothing that like I can say, oh yeah, this is why I'm so excited. It's just this feeling to know that I'm alive and I serve a God that's just there for me. Even when I was in my funk, he was
Hmm.
there and he was just like waiting on me, just tapping his foot like, okay, I'm gonna give her another year. She coming back to me, just waiting with his arms open. So that's
Yeah.
beautiful. And then when you come back, it's like the prodigal son. There's no remorse. There's no nothing. He's just like accepts you with open arms, and he's like, okay, let's do this thing. I'm gonna make a way. And that is
Hmm.
the beautiful thing about partnering with God in business. So tell everybody where they can find you, how they can connect with you, let them know any upcoming products or resources that you have that they can tap into.
Well, I invite you, if you haven't read it, I invite you to read the free ebook that I have, The Love for Self. No, sorry. um, The Beauty of Self-Love. Sorry, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so
That's
everywhere in
fine.
my
Yeah,
head.
you're a writer, so you got many titles in your
Yeah,
mind. That's okay. We
yeah.
forgive you. We forgive you.
Uh, so, The Beauty of Self-Love, How to Find Love in Your Singleness. That is the name of the ebook. You can find it on the link in my bio. And where you can connect with me, find me, you can follow me on Instagram, DMrance. You can also DM me. I always answer. I'm here for my people because I'm a people person. So don't be shy. And also, like, if you need help with your self-love, you can DM me or we can have a one-on-one 15 minutes and talk about it.
Awesome. Awesome. And as for me, just a little intro, because I don't think I even introduced myself.
Yeah.
My name's Crystal Kajest. I am a certified prosperity strategist. I help women, activate their best selves so that they can win in life and business. And, it's just, winning all 2021 and just, building a momentum for 2022 and just executing the vision that God has given you. So I'm excited. If you want to link with me, I'm open as well. And we just, get into that self-love and that self-development and build the ministry that God has called you to build.
Amen. I love that. I
All
love
right.
it.
All right. Thank you again, sis. I love you. This was a great, great, great conversation. I loved it. Thank you for
I
all the
love you
wisdom
too.
that you poured into us tonight. It was a
Thank
blessing.
you. Thank you
All
for
right.
having me. Take
Thank you for
care.
taking the time. All right. Have a blessed night.
Bye.
Bye.